People come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hi, everyone. When I booked the guest, I tried to be as accommodating as possible when it comes to the time, for instance, of doing the interview. Like next week, I think I booked one for 8 a.m. I have no idea what I was thinking. Today is an afternoon one. It is cutting into my nap time, but there is no sacrifice too great. And I'm also in a bit of an interview rut, by which I mean that I keep asking the same questions over and over again. So I'm going to try to switch that up a little bit today. We're going to learn about today's guest together. Ladies and gentlemen, Sharon Grant. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, before we talk about your current career, were you just doing something prior? And if so, what was that?
After I graduated from the University of the Fraser Valley with a bachelor's degree in psychology, I was a youth worker for a while, and then I went overseas and I taught ESL to small children in Korea.
In Korea, right?
Yes, I like to call it yelling at small children. There was a certain amount of communication issues and so forth.
Right.
And then I came back and I was a youth worker again, working with juveniles who were sex offenders who had mental health issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Needless to say, I do not have children of my own. and I work with them too often. But then I went back to school to train as a therapist, and now I am interested in menopause and aging.
Menopause and aging. Well, that's quite an interesting topic, right? Why? What made you decide to go there?
A few things. My parents, my mother was older when she had me. So she went into the menopausal transition when I was in my, I want to say late teens. And that was interesting to watch. My dad was always, and still is, healthy physically, mentally, socially, and he's, for his age, very vibrant. Mm-hmm. My mother sort of took a step back from life at a certain point and went downhill, and I saw how their lifestyles and their attitudes affected them. Yeah. I am aging. My husband's older than myself. He's about 17 years older than me. So I think as we age ourselves, we become more interested in how, health and lifestyle affects us. I also did my master's project on volunteerism and how it impacted aging.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, because I've been...
Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
In what way does it impact aging?
It makes people physically and emotionally and cognitively healthier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very good. I like that. Very good. I like that because I volunteer at the art gallery. So, woohoo!
Wonderful. Good for you. I like art. Oh, fun fact. I was an artist model when I was in university.
Were you? Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Nude or not?
We called it undraped. You made more money if you were undraped.
Okay.
And it made me much more comfortable with my body, and it made me see myself as a whole as opposed to a bunch of pieces, as women tend to do. Yeah. When we focus on the negatives and not the positives. Yeah. So I thought it was very good for me psychologically.
Oh, that's marvelous. I love that. That is so marvelous. Now tell me about now you're working with the interested in the aging and menopause. So exactly what does that entail for you?
Well, I am 53. I started having some little changes in my body when I was 38, 39. I had no understanding as to why. I went to see a doctor. Initially, I was sort of blown off with, well, at your age, you're having these problems. This doesn't make any sense. I started doing research, and I found that, when you get into your late 30s and you're a woman, your body does slowly start to change. Okay. I was having joint aches and nausea that was hormone related. And luckily, we in Chilliwack have a really good little store here in pharmacy, the PharmaSave on Main. Right. And I went in and I spoke with one of the ladies there, and she was very well trained, and she was able to help me and give me some supplements. And that sort of turned a light bulb on for me as you know, what is it going on in my body and how can I address it in a more natural manner?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And that was,
go ahead.
I was going to say, the sort of the beginning of a long journey / obsession.
Right. Okay. So now with that, and now the aging, and you link that with menopause, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your hormones start to shift when you're in your late 30s, and most women don't realize that. They think that menopause is something that happens in the late 40s, early 50s, and it just goes like that. No, it goes like this. But if you're aware early on that you can address what's going on in your body through exercise, diet, supplements, meditation, floating. We've got a great float center in Sardis. There's lots of data on how beneficial floating is. Red light therapy. Then you can reduce the impact psychologically, cognitively, emotionally, even physically.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder why, like when I was going through menopause, like go to the doctor, just, you know, they don't seem to have a lot of knowledge. At least my doctor didn't.
From what I understand from research that's been done, research in medical, in the medical profession takes about 17 years to actually get into practice. In mental health, it can take 10 to 15 years. And we know this now, we're trying to address it. Also, they're trained in a specific manner. They only look at things in the way that they were schooled to look at them. And you know, especially if they're men or they're younger women, they've got no idea of how this can impact you.
Right.
And basically, unless you see someone like an endocrinologist or a gynecologist, a specialist, which is very hard to get access to unless you're having a serious problem, you know, you're not going to get the help you need.
Right.
So you have to be responsible for yourself. And if you go out in today's world, that means onto the internet and find good, reputable sources, you can find great information. But it involves, you know, knowing what to look for, what questions to ask, and whether or not those sources are valid.
Now, as somebody, like, let's just say, you know, I've been through all of it, but let's just say I would just come in there and I don't know what to look for. I don't know. I'm on the internet, but I don't know what a reputable source is. Could I contact somebody like you?
Yeah, you could email me through my website. lifeisbeautifullifecoach.com or through my Facebook page. I've got my own personal one, Sharon Grant, or I think there's another one, Sharon Grant, lifeisbeautifullifecoach.com. And I apologize. I got a little excited when I chose that name. I didn't realize how hard it was to type for myself too. Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions. I went to renew my auto insurance and I ended up spending half an hour extra with the lady writing out a list of supplements and suggestions.
That's pretty cool, right? No, along with all of that, you are a life coach, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm registered as a life coach and as a counselor. So technically I can do both, but I'm focusing more on the coaching. And I mostly do volunteer work at the moment through the Self-Management BC.
Yeah.
And we do groups, and you can be self-referred. We're doing groups for pain management, and I co-lead those. We also have a group, I think, for diabetes, and they're doing a chronic conditions group now.
Right.
They used to do depression, but now that's part of chronic conditions. I also do one-on-one coaching over the phone through them, which is totally free. And what they do is they match you, depending on your age and your gender and your issues, to an appropriate coach. I'm also looking into creating presentations for women that I would do for profit, but a small profit. I also have some private clients that I work with, but I try to be reasonable with fees. Yeah.
So no, okay. So as a private client, what are they asking you for?
Well, we would try and set a goal. What is it that you are concerned about? And then I would probably do up a treatment plan where I would look at the recent research of biopsychosocial. So you say you're depressed. Okay, well, why are you depressed? Is it a nutritional issue? Is it lifestyle? Is it negative thinking patterns. And then I would provide materials to address each aspect of that. I have a naturopath I work with myself as my own personal doctor, who I've sent people to because he can do the appropriate testing for hormones, etc.
Okay.
And I said, because we need to narrow it down. You could have a hormonal problem, but you could have a nutritional problem. You could have a problem with your gut bacteria. So figuring out what it is and then giving you the tools, and then they would sort of be a partner in this. I'm not the expert. They're the expert on themselves. I will help them determine which tools they want to use.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because of COVID, has it been for a lot of people, like more people contacting you during this time? Like, I'm just wondering, are more people depressed or needing help?
We've been doing more through the self-management programs, definitely. I have picked up a couple of private clients. Yes. Depression, the isolation has been horrible for a lot of people, especially if they already have anxiety issues. It turns out that one person had also had problems with hormones, which was magnifying the depression and the anxiety, and that was sort of confirmed through testing. We'll say confirmed through testing, because I had a suspicion.
Right.
And another friend and a client had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which was then affecting her psychologically, because you're looking at too much testosterone and too much estrogen.
Oh.
And I did a lot of research, and I found some good supplements. But I again said, talk to your pharmacist, talk to your doctor. If you can afford it, go and see a naturopath to confirm. But the supplements really did help, because we have good data that they help with this particular problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there naturopaths? Is there one in Chilliwack?
Yeah, Dr. Balkan at the Sardis Naturopathic Clinic is the man I see. Mm-hmm. He's great. There is another lady in town. I've not seen her, but I'd be open to it if Dr. Balkan were to shutter his practice. And I believe that the lady who runs the it's on Main Street. I mentioned it earlier. I think it's Pharmacy.
Yes, sorry.
I met her years ago, and she can do the hormone testing.
Oh, right. It's right across. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I know who you mean. It's right across the street from me. Yeah.
And I have had my hormones tested, and it was very beneficial, and it was very eye-opening.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, is this something mainly for women, right? Like, do men need to have their hormones tested?
Yeah, there is something called andropause, and it's a slower slide where testosterone usually starts to go down.
Okay.
And then it can affect men psychologically, cognitively, physically. And there is a condition where men have far too little testosterone. They're just not making it. Often that is the result of abuse of steroids, but it can also be genetic. There are also some dietary concerns. If I have a client who was a vegetarian, he wasn't consuming enough cholesterol. You need cholesterol to make sex steroids, to sex hormones, I guess, and steroids.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes too much of a good thing is too much. There has to be a balance.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
No.
Then there are different ways to test hormones. There's a blood, urine, and saliva. I've had blood work. I've had saliva. I would discuss it with the naturopath as to which would be the best. It isn't cheap. It was about, I want to say $200 to $300, but it was eye-opening. And in my case, it was very beneficial.
Well, I would think that if it saves you money in the long run, keeping off medications or whatever it is, and then it's well worth the cost, right?
Yeah, because it in my case, it explained why I was having irrational anxiety and depression. My husband takes or uses a testosterone gel, which I apparently was absorbing through touch.
Oh,
yes. So
how interesting.
My testosterone was 1,000 times higher than it ought to have been.
Okay.
Happy
I don't
days.
mean to laugh. I mean, it's not, I didn't laugh at it
I
just
know.
because it's so unexpected, like something that I'd never heard of before, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you should have seen the look on the naturopath's face when I went in and to discuss these results. And the first question was, "Do you have a partner that uses testosterone?" And my response was, "Well, yes." Why? I said, "Oh, well, thank God."
Oh
Well,
my, how
mm,
fascinating.
yeah, because you don't expect it. And
No,
in that case, I looked into the research. There's some good research going on in Australia showing that flaxseed and mint helps block in the testosterone receptors and then stimulates them at a lower level, and then it will wash this out of your system.
very good. That's really,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to talk about the fact that you adopted an older dog.
Kaiser, yes.
What's his name?
Kaiser.
Kaiser. Okay, tell me about Kaiser. Why did you adopt Kaiser?
Oh, he's such a sweetheart. We weren't sure how old he was when we adopted him. He was in really rough shape. He was only 57 pounds when we brought him home, and he should have been 75 to 80.
Okay.
But aside from the fact that nobody else was going to adopt him, I think older dogs are great. They're settled. They don't need that much exercise. So we take him for a walk once or twice a day. We drive him around in the car. He's happy. Dogs are great for people emotionally and physically because you do get out for that walk. It reduces stress to have a pet around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do it again. He's had some health challenges because of his age and his breed. He's a Tervarine, which is an unusual breed. Twice
What
the
kind?
fur. He's a type of Belgian sheepdog. It's called a Tervarine.
Never heard of it. Okay.
No, they're relatively rare, as it turns out.
Okay.
Yeah, we got him at the care center, but he's probably purebred. Twice as much fur as the average dog. So he took out a pet vac within 6 weeks of purchase of it.
My God. Well, I think it's great. I mean, I'm an animal lover, and I live in a building where you're not allowed pets. I don't know why I moved here, but I did. It's too late now, But I know I firmly believe in animals, whatever kind of pet it is, and whatever it's an animal that you love, that they certainly are beneficial, right, to our well-being.
Sorry, I found a nice photo of him after he got groomed.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, but we know there's data going back decades now that having a pet reduces anxiety, it reduces depression. If you could take a dog into an exam as a university student, you actually do better on the exam because you're calmer. That's why we have these emotional support animals now.
Yes. Now, I know at the Bradley Center, like before COVID, that I think one of the employees would bring her dog, and it was a bigger dog, probably the size of yours, and it would just wander around, and people would pet it or whatever, and it just, everybody loved seeing the dog there, right?
Yeah.
Especially those kind of places where these people are not at their own home anymore.
Yeah, I think having a therapy animal is wonderful. And they used to have one at UFV where in the student center that people could go and visit with.
Right.
Yeah. And I know for older adults, especially, it's really important.
Yeah, for sure. Now, is there anything I didn't touch on? Oh, wait a minute. You have hobbies. Okay. Cooking. That's a good one. Collecting jewelry, thrift store shopping, and taking belly classes. All right.
Belly
dancing classes. Yeah. Oh, I was wondering, do you know my friend Cordy?
Yes. Actually, she and I have taken 2 or 3 classes together. She's wonderful.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Cool. So now tell me about, cooking. Are you cooking anything unusual or basic foods? What do you do?
For me right now, I'm doing a lot of stir fries because we're trying to lose weight because we have gained weight. Which I think stir fries are great because you add a lot more vegetables, so you manage to get a lot more out of your meat. I've tried to switch over to like a hormone-free grass-fed beef when possible, and a hormone-free chicken because the hormones in the food are so bad for us. And also with grass-fed, you're getting out more omega-3s, teas, which are very important for overall health, and they reduce inflammation.
Okay.
I started baking. God help us both. I'm trying to use stevia instead of sugar. So, and a gluten-free flour, because after the age of 40, your body changes. And I'm now in the throes of all sorts of, I want to call them sensitivities, not allergies.
Yeah.
So I'm experimenting in that way. And luckily I've got a friend who's a great baker, Brenda Dyke, also the Guerrilla Gardener. She does a lot of baking, and she's been very helpful. Other than that, I've tried canning. That was a disaster, and I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid I'm going to give someone food poisoning. But you mentioned the thrifting. Chilliwack is wonderful for thrifting.
Yeah.
I
because of my show, I wear jewelry, and I call it junk jewelry. So I go around looking for junk jewelry. You know, I don't want to pay a lot of money, because the only time I wear it is when I do the show.
But it's so much fun, and you find the greatest pieces and the most unusual things in thrift stores.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And handmade things. And sometimes I think, oh, why would you get rid of that? It's so lovely, and someone made that.
Well, there's reasons when I was thinking about it. Like one of the women in my building, she's just moving into the Linwood, and, you know, she's in her 90s. So she's got a lot of things to get rid of. If you don't have young people to pass it on to, a lot of that stuff just goes to the thrift store. So that's how it gets there, I think. Right?
I know, that is very true. And hopefully somebody like me will pick it up and appreciate it, because it's just so lovely.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and you're also giving back to your community by buying in a charitable shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as opposed. Yeah, and I've gotten the best pieces. I once got a real Dior coat in a thrift store. I found an authentic Christian Dior coat in a thrift store.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what a score that was, eh?
Ask me how much I paid.
I love it. That is really good.
$8. Yes.
$8. Oh my.
$8. I know.
Did you look it up to see what it would cost if you bought it new?
Well, I looked up their handbags so I could guesstimate. Yeah. I couldn't afford it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, no, what is this? Something else. You also like to go to the hub for live performances.
Yes, the Chilliwack Community, I think it's the Cultural Center.
Yes,
it's on Corbould Avenue. We've seen everything. I've seen burlesque dancers, ballets twice. We've been to ballets, comedians, murder mysteries, all kinds of productions, musicals. It's just wonderful, and it's so inexpensive.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good place to go for entertainment. Like you said, entertainment. Yeah. Now you live in a 91-year-old house.
Yes, I do.
All right.
Yeah. As a single woman, I purchased a 91-year-old house. Why?
Did it come with a lot of work?
Oh God, yeah. Well, and I knew nothing about home maintenance and home ownership. I bought a house in Chilliwack because I could afford it.
Right.
And because when I was a small child, we'd lived here, and I remember being happy here. The first winter I was here, half my pipes exploded because I had, no insulation under the house in the little crawl space.
Yeah.
It's been an adventure.
I bet.
But it was a very well-made structure to begin with, so it is still standing.
Yeah, I think the older houses, in my opinion, the older houses were built better, right?
Oh God, yeah. It's framed in fir. My floors are cedar. You can't find a house this solidly built today. You can't get the materials.
Yeah, I agree.
It unfortunately had not been well maintained, so I had to do a lot of that. It cost
A labor of love, I bet.
Yeah. Well, it is functioning now.
Very good. Well, on that note, we're going to end the show. I'm going to say goodbye to the audience, so just stay there while I say bye, everyone. I'm glad you watched the show. I hope you enjoyed learning some things about Sharon Grant. There's things that I had never heard of before, so I love that. I always like it when I get to learn something new. If you want to contact her, she's on Facebook under Sharon Grant. Her website is Sharon Grant at wait a minute.
No, it's lifeisbeautifullifecoach.com.
Lifeisbeautifullifecoach.com. Yeah. So contact her. It's really good. It's beneficial, I believe anyway. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Until then, everyone, peace out.
A sense of community, till the wax a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.